Hello there, everybody, and welcome to round 7 of 8 of the 2018 International Touring Cup. Last 2 rounds, can you believe it? And we've headed from Asia over to the Americas, and we begin our little mini American tour, not at Interlagos actually, for the first time in many, many years. Instead, we are traveling to Curitiba. It's a fast and flowing circuit of 3.7 kilometers in length, 12 corners. Very similar actually to Portland International Raceway, which we've raced a couple of times here in the ITC. It's going to provide a very interesting challenge for the drivers who have to deal with lots of different undulating changes, and they've got to try and figure out where to pass on this circuit, which has been notoriously difficult for overtaking on in real life. Let's find out together, shall we? I'm James Kirk. On cameras, I've got Argo Tida. And no one's here to join me today. I'm all on my lonesome. So before we get into the meat and bones of this broadcast, let's quickly go over the schedule of what's going to happen. So we're going to take you through the 15 minutes of qualifying that we have on your screens right now, where it is, as per usual, super pole. And so that means only one lap to try and get yourself as high up the order as possible for race number 1. And then we're going to have a break, no commentary, and then commentary in race 1, and then a break, and then commentary in race 2. You get where we're going? Lovely. It gives my voice a rest. It gives us a chance to collect and try and figure out what we just witnessed. Let's go on board with our first driver out on track, shall we? Raunu Muru for TTF. And this lad had a bit of a stellar practice session. P5 in the standings. That is as high as I have seen the Estonian all year long, to tell you the truth. And the Vauxhall Astra in particularly looking very handy around this circuit. Same said practice session topped by Gergo Baldi, a man who's been so desperately out of form in the last couple of rounds. It's seen, well, it's not just him, of course. Niels Brugman was involved in this as well, but it's seen Enterprise from the halfway point. They were top of the championship, and now they're 5th, over 100 points behind Edge. It's an indication of how close the championship is. But the Astras being so strong around here is an indication of how it ebbs and flows. Raunu Muru, we're looking for a 119. If you can hit those 119s, you're pretty much guaranteed a top 10. Raunu Muru, though, not able to convert it when it matters. A 120.1 might see him inside the top 10. I'm thinking more 10th to 20th. We've got a few other drivers out on track. Next across the line will be Ben Willis and his teammate for this round, Jack Ashton. That's right, you heard correct. No Matt Richards in this session. You can pretty much count his championship hopes for the driver's title out. Speaking of which, Kevin Siggy does have a chance to secure the driver's title over the course of the next 3 races. We'll go through those permutations if we need to, because it's still a very unlikely situation. Jack Ashton actually out-qualifying Ben Willis there on his debut. Apparently an MG Metro champion is Jack Ashton, and Matt Richards rates him highly, but a 120.8 will not see him much higher than 15th, I'd wager. Who's going to be next to complete a lap? I think it's going to be Philip Morby in the Racing Team Schroten Subaru. And I tell you what, these Subarus did not look all that great. The fastest of them was Mohammed Patel, and he was outside the top 5. So the Subarus they enjoyed so much. They enjoyed so much joy. They enjoyed a lot of advantage in Okayama. Very similar track to Poznan. The tyre wear fell into the rear-wheel drive hands perfectly. And, I mean, we saw Edge Esports take a 1-2 in Okayama Race 2, of course. So that is case in point as to how much of an advantage that car had around that track. However, this one, not so much. It's not a track that demands much of the tyres, is Curitiba. There are some long corners, and it does bite a little bit, but nowhere near as much as Okayama. And especially with that long back straight, that is Subaru hell, because it has got the weakest straight line speed of all the cars. It's alright getting up to it, but in terms of the actual top line element, not that great. And so, honestly, for the Subarus, any sorts of points for Racing Team Stroton, of course, would be good. They are deep and mired within the relegation zone. And for Edge Esports, any top 10s would probably be good. Around this long and winding final corner comes Philip Morby then. The man who does have a podium to his name in ITC, but has had a miserable campaign so far. Goes P2. Outqualifies both Drakes. That's not a half bad effort from the Englishman. And we now go to Wright Kilk then. Who will be quite happy, I think, to qualify inside the top 20. Subbing in for David Feiduk over Epic Racing. Literally got told within the last half hour that he was going to be racing Did Right. And so this is his first time in the Honda, first time in this type of car this year. The last time he was in the ITC, I believe, was 2015, where he did all right. He did good. But he's nowhere near as proficient in these as he is single-seaters. A 120 would be amazing from Wright Kilk. I would be surprised if he hits that, despite how good a driver he is. A 121.5. It's a 491. We'll call it a 5. Round it up. That's not a bad effort, right? That's not a bad effort. Just try and survive in the races now. That's the way to go about it. Mike Bell. He's next to follow. And Mike Bell, he had not a great Okayama. 18th and 11th. His teammate Adam Pinches actually had a really solid round. In all 3 races, he was constantly on the attack in a car which was supposed to have the worst tyre wear, but his early aggression worked out for him. It was almost like an anti-Enterprise tactic that we've seen throughout the year. So the Enterprise tactic, if you haven't been with us since the beginning, is save your tyres for the first half of the race and then attack near the end. Adam Pinches went the other way around. He attacked in the first half of the race and then saved his tyres. That proved to be the right call, and it means that Smile Power are now only 3 points behind Enterprise. Their top 5 hopes have not looked any better, but they do need Mike Bell to get back on the big point scoring streak, because he's in a bit of a bad patch at the moment. 18th, 11th at Okayama, 2 15th place finishes at Shanghai, but that was after a race 1 podium, his second of the year. Bell very capable of a good result. Didn't look too hot in practice. In qualifying, when it matters, he's gone onto provisional pole position with a 1:19.7. That's only 0.3 off Gergo Baldi's fastest session time in free practice. So that's a mighty effort from Mike Bell. Looking real good for the Englishman. And let's see, I think we're going to be going to Scott Cervik next. Yeah, the Norwegian. Now, he had a mighty free practice time. Another 1:19 to talk of. But this has kind of been Scott Cervik's problem. He's shown really promising pace when it comes to qualifying, and he's not been able to convert it in the race. Only 1 point scored across 3 rounds contested in the ITC now for Scott Cervik. With an IDOS team that is looking more and more likely. They're on the bubble. Well, no, they're not on the bubble. They're just underneath that target line of relegation. They're 12th out of 15 teams. But they're 49 points away from a Rowan GP squad who made such a great call earlier in the season to sign up Nico Barclay. First round, a win. He's picked up another podium since then. They need some big results in these final 2 races to escape relegation. Duidos, and that's not a bad time to start this round off with either. Scott Cervik with a 1:19.864 puts him behind Mike Bell as Matthew Allington in the second of the IDOS cars, moving over from Wide the F1 to IDOS. He puts in 1:24.3, comfortably the worst time out of the field. Speaking of Wide the F1, Johan Lindberg out on track. Wide the F1, of course, recording. There were 2 1-2 finishes in Okayama 2 weeks ago. The first of those was Edge Esports. The second of those was Wide the F1. Their first ever 1-2 in their history. A 1:20.0 for Lindberg. Not a bad effort at all. Should have him comfortably inside the top 15. And now I think we've got to look, really, to our championship leader, Kevin Siggy. Kevin C. Rebenak. Amazing form. Leading the championship over Eric Strana, would you believe, of 58 points. But this Subaru has looked to struggle. I noticed Chris Shepherd going into P3 only with a 119.9, but remember Chris Shepherd with weight ballast. And if you're new here, a reminder that weight ballast is from first place in the championship down to 10th place in the championship when it comes to qualifying, of course. And then it changes as the race results come in. And let's see where Rebenak can go here around the final corner. He wasn't inside the top 10 in practice. Doesn't necessarily mean that he won't be inside the top 10 now. Full weight ballast on board. Kevin Seeger-Rebenak goes 6th. Those Subarus are struggling. Because even with full weight ballast, Kevin Seeger-Rebenak has not done that badly before. Who to look to next? Probably Adrian Campfield here, who skirts across the curbing. Into the final corner. Adrian Campfield now with 2 wins to his name. The only reason that he's not further up the order is because he retires and non-scores in so many races. A bit of consistency would do this Englishman the world of good. P3 there, a 119.944. What a bizarre top 3 we have at the moment. Mike Bell, Scott Cervic, and Adrian Campfield currently your top 3. Astra, Mercedes, and Honda. No rear-wheel drive in sight. All right, next up are going to be the Aurora Motorsport boys of Lewis McGlade and Dan Kell. I think let's go to Dan Kell. He's the first out on track. And where do we begin with Aurora Motorsports? A very checkered campaign. McGlade, the only ever present for the team. He scored okay. Consistency on the other side of the garage has been so difficult to find, however. Dan Kell, though, had his best rounds so far. He's only contested 2, mind. But point scores in all 3 races at Okayama. Put the Brit into a pretty decent bit of form. Crosses the line now. And that's P8 for Dan Kell. I think he'll be a little bit disappointed with that. And what about Lewis McGlade? That's P8. So, instantly deposing his teammate. And kind of in the middle of nowhere, unfortunately. And now, who to look to next? I'm thinking... Who is out on the lap? Let's go to... Okay. Brilliant name. Dionysis Faraus in P27 here. This is his debut for Racing Team Schroten. Filling in for Pedro Delgado. By the way, Nico Barkley setting a purple first sector. Faraus on his debut goes 10th. That's not bad at all. But let's go to Nico Barkley, shall we, for Rowan GP. He missed out Okayama. But this Astra has been looking good in general. Adam Pinches there goes up into P3. So it's a Smile Power 1-3 at the moment. Purple middle sector from Niels Brugman, though. And only a green from Nico Barkley. Let's jump up to Niels Brugman, shall we? Niels Brugman down there in P26 now. Eric Strana only P14. That's huge. The Swede, he's second in the championship. Let's look at Niels Brugman, though. Crosses the line, P2. Does not depose Mike Bell. But what about Nico Barkley? Crosses the line now. And he still can't depose Mike Bell. Bell from Barkley from Brugman. Mike Bell is not budging from that top spot. That's an incredible effort in retrospect from the Englishman. Who is next? Chris Butcher. Green first sector. Green middle sector. Nothing purple so far. Reminder, Chris Butcher also has weight ballast on top of that car. The ACR driver goes P5. Still no one able to depose Mike Bell. And next up will be Erhan Yuyovsky. Now, if anyone was to do it, it'll be this man. 2 pole positions in the last 2 rounds that he's contested. Yuyovsky, miserable first half of the year. His second half of the year been so much better. The Adonis driver pretty much single-handedly dragging that team up to P7 within a shot of the top 5. No one thought that they were going to do it after the first 4 rounds. 2 podiums, 2 wins for Yuyovsky. Adam Taylor doing pretty decently on the other side of the garage as well. Purple first sector from Tobias Olsen, by the way. Johan Yuyovsky round the final corner. Again, it's looking good, but not good enough to beat Mike Bell here at the moment. Gonna have to pull in a mighty sector. Only P12 for Erhan Yuyovsky. This is crazy. And who is that who slotted in? Lucas Schmidt. Lucas Schmidt finally deposes Mike Bell. And who have we got left? Baldy, Olsen, and Taylor here. I think it's going to be Baldy across the line next. Top of the practice session. Where is he going to go? It's been an okay, only P10 for Gergo Baldy. Bad form continues. Next, Tobias Olsen crosses the line. P2 for Olsen. Unable to depose Schmidt. And what about Adam Taylor? Taylor goes P5. So Lucas Schmidt, after an outstanding first round in Okayama, considering the circumstances, goes on to take pole position here for ACR Zaxby, Jack Keithley who. Tobias Olsen takes P2 from Mike Bell with an outstanding P3. Nico Barkley P4 with Taylor and Brugman P5. Cervic inside the top 10. Once again P7 with Butcher 8th, Pinches 9th. And Adrian Campfield rounding out the top 10. Big disappointment for Edge Esports. Patel and Siggy Rebanak only 15th and 16th. Shepard and Baldy outside of the top 10 themselves. Jayovsky P17. And Eric Strana all the way down in P23. It promises to be a fascinating first race here at Kurutaba with one of the most mixed up grids we've seen in a long, long time. Do not go away. We will be back with race 1 commentary in about 5 to 10 minutes. We're back. Got a minute left of practice. I realised that we're, what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks away, or like past Halloween now? But I thought it'd be funny. I'm not a funny guy, I realise. But hey, let's talk championship permutations, shall we? Because I see that the chat has been going crazy, and Matt Richards is saying, oh, you know, Siggy will seal the championship in race 2. So, this is how the standings stand. Kevin Siggy's on 238, 58 points ahead of Eric Strana, 71 points ahead of Matt Richards. Of course, Matt Richards isn't here, so we can kind of count him out of that. Chris Shepherd is 74 points behind. So, Kevin Siggy has to outscore Chris Shepherd by 2 points. Eric Strana by 18 points over the course of the next 3 races to secure the title. I don't think it is as clear-cut as what we're suggesting here, because the Subaru's not look great. It's really not look great around the circuit. If there was any chance for Kevin Siggy Rebenak to get some decent points, I would say race 3. But genuinely, you don't know what way this is going to go. You've just got to look at the Enterprise implosion to see how quickly you can fall from the top downwards. And I mean, to be fair, the top 10, the state of the top 10 today is kind of crazy. Lucas Schmidt, I think, has got the pace to get some very neat results for ACR Zach Speed. But a lot is dependent on everyone else around him. Of course, he's got, what, Nico Barkley in there, Mike Bell in there, Tobias Olsen in there, who's always a fascinating variable to add to any front row. So I'm fascinated to see how this Curitiba round develops. Looking at the Teams Championship, that's not going to be decided today. It is way too open going into the final round. Chris Shepherd, don't be surprised to see me disconnect this race. I have been worried about his ping, to be honest. I have been slightly worried. And it would be a shame to see him disconnect. Wouldn't be great for Epic. I mean, he's their only regular driver in the car today as well. And I'll tell you what, in particular, Curitiba's going to be difficult in this first lap, because it's kind of got a mini flattened version of an anti-Senna S. As I said, it's very similar to Portland in that it's kind of like a Mickey Mouse section. Oh, it's similar to Croft. It is very similar to Croft, except it doesn't have the massive I'm going to kill your car no matter what bollards. And it means that there's a lot of opportunity for drivers to go wide onto the grass, damage their tyres, etc., etc. You see where I'm going with this. But yes, the Rfactor man has said his famous words, and we are about to head onto the grid for the first of 3 races this evening. 13 laps apiece. What sort of swings and roundabouts is this championship going to take today? Or is there going to be a team that just walks away with it, much as Edge Esports did in Okayama 2 weeks ago? It is, I don't want to say inexperienced, but a very new look top 10. And we're going to go through them now. Lucas Schmidt lines up on pole position for ACR Zach Speed with Tobias Olsen on the front row alongside him, making it a Honda 1-2. Mike Bell makes the first of an Astra second row. That's his highest qualifying position, I think, in ages. He's ahead of Nico Barkley for Rowan GP. Adam Taylor for Adonis Engineering starts P5 ahead of Niels Brugman for Enterprise Pulsars. We then have Scott Cervic in nosebleed territory for Eidos Motorsport, with Chris Butcher all the way down in P8. The top 10 rounded out by Adam Pinches for Smile Power Racing and Chris Shepherd for Epic Racing. Worth noting that Adrian Canfield asked for his lap to be deleted, which is why he is no longer in the top 10. We then have Gergo Baldi, P11 for Enterprise Pulsars, with Johan Lindberg in the second of the YDF1s mentioned. Raunumuru starts inside the points for TTF. P13 with Kevin Sigerebenak, our championship leader, all the way down in P14. He is just ahead of the man who took the last 2 pole positions before Kuritiba, Erhan Yojovski for Adonis Engineering. And then come the 2 Auroras of Lewis McGlade, once again out-qualifying Dan Kell. Dionysius Feroz leads the 2 Racing Team Strotons. It's going all Noah's Ark up in here, with Philip Morby, the regular P19, and rounding out the top 20 is Debutant, filling in for Matt Richards, Jack Ashton at Drag Racing. One of the most disappointing qualifyings of his career, I'd imagine. Eric Strana, all the way down in P21, the man who's second in the championship, lest we forget. Right, Kilk. He hadn't set a lap half an hour ago. He starts P22, an amazing job from him. We then have Mohamed Patel, P23 for Edge Esports. Tyron Frith, P24 for TTF. Matthew Allington, P25 for IDOS. And then come the people who asked for their laps to be deleted or didn't set a lap at all. Adrian Camfield in P26 for YDF1. Ben Willis in P27 for Drake. David Yunt, who scored the first points of CM Tech's campaign last time out in Okayama. A proud occasion for him. Hopefully we'll get a couple more for the Dutch team. And Tristan Potters rounds out our field in P29, meaning that we are missing 1 driver. And I'm trying to... Oh, it's the other CM Tech. There you go. The one team that's had the worst attendance record all year. So Lucas Schmidt has already made his way into his grid box, I should say. Onto his grid box. Everyone else still lining up, and so it's going to be a little bit of a wait for the newest pole sitter in ITC's history. The Swiss driver going to be looking to the gantry above now to watch the lights illuminate the crowd on his left. Packing the grandstands. 3, 4, 5 lights illuminate. And we're away here in Kuritiba. And it's a decent start from Nico Barkley in third. He's had a stormer. And Tobias Olsen's already looking to cut off Mike Bell, getting to the slipstream of Lucas Schmidt. And oh, there's been a crash. One of the edges has hit the wall in the background, I think, and moving down into turmoil. Contact! And Nico Barkley's off already. Contact with Lucas Schmidt. People trying to make their way through the Mickey Mouse section as quickly as possible. Scott Cervic has had a blinder. He's up to P4 already. An outstanding start from the IDOS driver. Schmidt and Olsen relatively unscathed, and it was Adam Taylor who made the biggest ground out the top 5 there. Already launching an attack on the inside of Tobias Olsen there as we head into this infield section through turn 5. And Niels Brugman there, watch out. He's going to be looking. And Mike Bell there, he's lost a couple of positions. The 2 of them going into contact. And Mike Bell going to be on the inside now. Goodness me, Niels Brugman looking to go fully around the outside of the turn 8 hairpin. Ushered to the edge, ushered out onto the grass, and Mike Bell has that position. Good move, but looking to capitalise now is Chris Butcher on the inside of Niels Brugman, side by side through turn 10 and through turn 11. You do not want to do that, but they managed to do it still, and great move from Chris Butcher. Niels Brugman forced out to the pedal. Baldy through. Oh, and that's Pinches. Massive moment for Pinches, who comes back onto the track, almost collects Niels Brugman. And there's another guy off, but at the end of lap 1, crazy lap 1 it was as well. Lucas Schmidt leads by, 1 second now from Olsen, Taylor, Cervic, Bell, Butcher, Baldy, Brugman, Lindberg, and Kevin Sigerebenak, who has made his way up into the top 10, just looking further down the order. Chris Shepherd out of the race already, so nightmare start for Epic. Right Kilk, their other car, dead last as, oh my goodness me, flying across the curbing there, Johan Lindberg. Really attacking it as much as he can. Awesome to see them fly through there. And it was Patel, the edge car, who got caught up there on the wall. Bizarre incident. Do not know how it happened. And so things seemingly settled down. The rest of the point scorers currently rounded out. Adam Pinches in 11th with Lewis McGlade, Raunu Muru, Dan Kellen, Dionysius Feroz. He's got a cool name. I need to learn how to pronounce it correctly. In fact, big news for Feroz. He's in the points for Racing Team Stroton, and Philip Morby's just behind him, so great start for those guys. Eric Strana up to P18. Jack Ashton's made up a position as well, up to P19. Nico Barkley, after that massive off, all the way down in P24, just ahead of his teammate Tristan Potters. Nightmare entrance into the corner. It just looked like he lost it under braking, Barkley. But then again, replays would be a saviour, and we've got to keep an eye on this action at the front. The front two really starting to stream away now. Lucas Schmidt putting his pedal down, not pedal. Losing my voice already. 1 second behind is Olsen. A further second behind is Taylor. And then up the inside goes Mike Bell on Scott Cervic. It gets tight through there. Is that Baldy taking to the grass? Yes, he was. Trying to make a move on Chris Butcher. Didn't come off. But warning shots have been fired for Scott Cervic there. He is outperforming up there in P4, the Norwegian. And he'll need to continue that strong defending. Mike Bell, he's had some brilliant races so far this season on the precipice of another podium. Chris Butcher, though, looking to keep at bay Gergo Baldy. Remember, Baldy with no weight ballast. In fact, is he the only man without weight ballast in this top 5, I wonder? No, Mike Bell doesn't, and neither does Scott Cervic. What am I talking about? Adam Taylor doesn't as well. The majority of these guys don't have weight ballast. In fact, the only one who does is Chris Butcher in this particular battle. Through the sweepers of turn 10, and then through turn 11 as well. And is that Scott Cervic having a look on Adam Taylor for third? I think it is. Oh, Gergo Baldy taking a little look to the inside of Chris Butcher there. Doesn't come off, but let's look to Scott Cervic now. It is a tight battle for this podium. One mistake, you'll be regretting it. Taylor feeling the need to go defensive. Scott Cervic is on the assault in this Eidos car. And with both Rowan GP cars out of the points, what a time it would be to score big. Tries to go around the outside of turn 1. Doesn't quite work. Everyone else filtering behind. Line astern. Lindbergh, Siggy, Pinches, McGlade, Muru, Kell, and Feroce. Campfield up to P16. Oh, so that means that the other racing team showing a Philip Morby, he's had a nightmare lap down to P20, the Englishman. But let's keep an eye on this battle for the podium. Adam Taylor. Fascinating story for him. Was part of this much successful predecessor to ACR Zach Speed, Vodball Racing. Dropped. Brought in midway through the season by Adonis Engineering. And he's done well. Had his best round yet in Okayama. 3 top 10 finishes. Has yet to finish on the podium this season, though. And boy, oh boy, would he like that. Especially with Adonis now fighting for that top 5 in the championship. Nice long elongated corner. You need to get this right. Make sure that you don't lose too much speed. And once again, feeling the need to go defensive is Taylor. Cervic to the inside. Behind as well, that's Mike Bell under increasing pressure from Chris Butcher, who I think might be through at this stage. He's on the inside. Oh, locks up. Gets it stopped in time. And Mike Bell survives. Oh, and 2 wheels for Chris Butcher. And that could allow Gergo Baldy in. Indeed it does. Gergo Baldy is through on Chris Butcher. And that is when the curbs bite back, ladies and gentlemen. It's all fair and well and fanciful to go flying across them without a care in the world. But one misstep and you are going to be on 2 wheels. Great car control from Butcher, by the way, to keep it in one piece. But he has given up that position, that P6 to Gergo Baldy. And more often than not, we've seen Baldy and Bell on the same piece of tarmac this season. The rivalry continues. Taylor still holding on to P3. And Butcher's mistake has allowed Bell to start to reel Cervic back in. Though Cervic is looking as close as he has done over the last few laps. Schmidt and Olsen continue to pull away. No change up there. Onto the back straight. And you can see all the cars just filing in behind Adam Taylor once again now. But one of the advantages of that Honda is that it has good top line speed. The Mercedes is decent. You can see it closing. And it is very good on the brakes as well, to be fair. But it's not good enough on the brakes to make a massive lunge like that. Although, oh, Taylor slow on the exit of turn 4. And will Cervic fancy a look in one of the midfield section corners? I'm not too sure. And you can see how much Taylor is starting to slow up this pack behind now. Because not only has Bell latched onto the back of Cervic, but Baldy has now fully latched onto the back of Bell as well. Chris Butcher being occupied by Baldy's teammate Brugman. Lindbergh and Pinches round out the top 10, and so Kevin Siggy's lost positions as Taylor and Cervic go into combat, and I think Cervic went for it, and he's lost position to Mike Bell. Is he going to stay ahead of Baldy? Oh, Baldy's, yep, he's going to check up on his brakes. He's not going to risk a move into turn 10 there. So Cervic loses 2 positions. Bell now up into P4. And now that Bell's in the driving seat, will he look to pressure the move? But yeah, Kevin Siggy down to P12. Lost a couple of positions as the Edge Esports driver. So, Mike Bell now into the slipstream. I noticed Gogo Baldy into the slipstream of Cervic as well. That one looking the more likely of the moves to come off at this stage. They now move over to the outside. I think Baldy is on the inside of Scott Cervic. No, actually. The camera angle deceived me. And Scott Cervic remains in P5. Adam Taylor remains in P3. We're now halfway through this race. Lap 7 of 13. Laps flying by here at Curitiba. Chris Butcher now having a little look on Gogo Baldy. So he's dropped Niels Brugman, although I imagine with this pace currently being set by Taylor, the Dutchman should be on the back of this sooner rather than later. So Pinches P9, Lindbergh P10, although Lindbergh under a lot of pressure from Lewis McGlade here. Contact! And McGlade gets his car stopped in time. A bit of a misstep there, which could allow Kevin Siggy back in. At this current stage, Kevin Siggy unable to be caught by Chris Shepherd now if he finishes where he is and continues to do so over the next couple of races. Edging out a little bit of point advantage over on Eric Strana. Reminder, he needs to accumulate 18 over the Swedish driver over the course of this event to be crowned champion. And now he's going to be lining up a move on Lewis McGlade. Right into the slipstream, but a reminder, this is possibly one of the worst straights of the year for the Subaru. Really lacks in straight line speed, and you can see why. Such an uneven surface there, and into the braking zone, Lewis McGlade will hold on to P11. Now back up to this battle for P3. Taylor has started to split away from Mike Bell, who has started to split away from Scott Cervic. Gergo Baldy maybe lighting a move up into turn 5. He launches it up the inside. And a bit of contact there with Scott Cervic as well, which could allow Chris Butcher through. Baldy into P5. Nice move there. Cervic and Butcher going side by side. I've got a great helicopter cam here myself. And they break it from Cervic, who misses the corner completely. And Butcher is through. And this is starting to bite him now. A little bit of contact on exit as well. Sees Niels Brugman through, and Scott Cervic shuffle down to P8. And he's just got to calm himself down now. He's still in such a good position for Eidos Motorsport. Stay there. Hold on to it. Scoring good points. Will Bell look to line up a move on Taylor this lap? You would think that now would be the time, if any, with Gogo Baldy set loose by Scott Cervic now. Once again, Adam Taylor's top line speed is doing him the world of good. Bell just can't touch him into turn 1. Not even a look. Everyone moving through nicely. McGlade still ahead of Siggy Rebenak. Muru 13th, Campfield 14th, Dan Kell currently rounding out the top 15. And look who's on the back here. Jack Ashton on his debut. We were told to watch out for him. And he's currently just millimeters away from scoring his first point here in the ITC. Throws it up the inside of Dan Kell. Into turn 5. He'll have the inside line, and he's ahead briefly, but Kell is now going to be on the outside of turn 6. Is he going to be able to bring it in for the inside of turn 7? Yes, he is. Great battle between the two Brits. And Kell holds on to P15 for now. Really nice battle between these two. So respectful. And Dionysus Feroz there as well, looking to score a point on his debut for Racing Team Stroton. So close. And Matthew Allington as well. What a race he's having. Up to P18. He was 4 seconds off pole position, need I remind you, from qualifying. Points are in sight for the Brit. Although he's got Eric Strana and Nico Barkley behind as well. And Yayovsky down to P22 as well. I completely missed what happened to Yayovsky. So the Macedonian well outside of the points at the current time of asking. Back up to the front lot. And Gogo Baldy's once again reeled in Mike Bell. Chris Butcher watching brief. Niels Brugman watching brief. And Scott Cervic is maintaining... Oh, that was a massive crash. Sorry, who was that who made a... Oh, it's Campfield. Campfield's gone massively off the road. And so Jack Ashton is into P15. Allington's up to 16th. Did someone else have a massive off? No, it was just Campfield. Never mind Mears. Siggy's through on McGlade as well. Up into P11. That was through turn 5. Oh, and I think Chris Butcher might be lining up a move on Baldy. No, Baldy gets it. Reeled in once again for now. But yes, Cervic keeping up the pace nicely. Staying ahead of Adam Pinches. The front two, I remind you, they've clocked out. I don't think, unless there's a mistake from one of them, I don't think we're going to be seeing too much change there. And looking to the grander scheme of the Teams Championship, Epic Racing not scoring at the moment. Edge Esports only scoring 5. ACR Zack Speed are scoring 35 points through Schmidt and Butcher at the moment. Easily the best as Baldy now on the outside of Bell. He's looking to force Bell into a mistake, looking for him to go deep. And he does go a little deep, but not deep enough to allow Baldy to capitalise on this occasion. Speaking of Baldy, actually, I think Enterprise, Smile Power Racing, they're both doing well too. Oh, Baldy to the inside of Bell. Look at this. Throws it up the inside of turn 5. Little bit of contact on an exit. And let's see how clean these are going up through the gears. Through turn 6. And around the outside into turn 7 and then turn 8. Bell remains on the inside. Baldy might be at the mercy of Chris Butcher here. Situational awareness from the Brit, who's got a little bit of an overlap on Baldy, and he's going to throw it up the inside of turn 10. Side by side, these two, Baldy giving him plenty of room. He's decided to defend, and he's held the inside corner as well. That's good defending from Gogo Baldy. As, oh, Niels Brugman with a little bit of a touch on the grass there. His rear tyre squealing. Great car control from him as well. We've seen some brilliant car manoeuvring just in general in this round. But now Gogo Baldy, he was the aggressor. Now he's the defender. Chris Butcher. ACR need these points. Is he going to throw up the inside? Oh, he breaks late. But Baldy stays ahead for now. Lap 12 of 13. Penultimate lap. These are where the money moves are made, and Olsen is making said money move. The gap has come down to within a second over the last half a lap or so. Either Schmidt made a mistake or his tyres are going. All of a sudden, Tobias Olsen in with a chance of picking up a race win here in Curitiba. Adam Taylor, he's weathered the storm so well, still in P3. Bell fourth, Baldy, Butcher, Brugman, nose to tail behind. Cervic remaining ahead of Pinches, who remains ahead of Limburg. Kevin Sigi Rebenak desperately trying to force his way up into the top 10. I think really this P3 battle is where it has been at all race long. And they've only got one more lap once this rotation is completed to sort it all out. Here we go then. Final lap of this race. Schmidt has re-extended that gap to Olsen. Taylor, he has felt the need to go defensive. He goes to the outside wall once again. Baldy looks. Brugman looks. Neither of them willing to commit. Oh, and Brugman gets turned on horribly wrong there. Wrestles the car back into form. And, oh, Limburg's past Pinches as well. Late move there from Johan Limburg. Pinches' tyres may be suffering. Kevin Sigi Rebenak all over the back of the Hungarian. Look how defensive Pinches feels he needs to go. As Brugman looks on the outside of Butcher. No change of position there. And Pinches. Look at this. Kevin Sigi Rebenak going fully around the outside. Four-wheel drifting around turn 5. Brilliant car control from Kevin Sigi Rebenak up the inside of turn 8. If he makes this stick, that might be move the race. That is move of the race. Brilliant stuff from Kevin Sigi Rebenak up into P10 in some style. As look at that, Niels Brugman is through on Chris Butcher. On the exit, Chris Butcher has been caught napping. Niels Brugman through into P6, but rounding the final corner now. He led from lights out And he converts from his first pole position in the series. Lucas Schmidt takes his first win of the season, with Tobias Olsen coming home in second to pick up his second podium of the season. Taylor picks up his first podium of the season, P3, with Bell, Baldy, Brugman, Butcher, Servik, Limburg, and Siggy Rebenak rounding out the top 10. Pinches has to settle for P11 with McGlade, Muru, Kell, and Jack Ashton on his debut scoring the final points. Everyone else finished, with the exception of Chris Shepherd, who retired on lap 1, unfortunately. And so, let's just take into account all that has happened here. Siggy Rebenak has scored 6 points. That means that, as it is right now, Chris Shepherd can no longer win. Can no longer win the driver's title. He's also gained a full 6 points on Eric Strana. That just means that he's got to outscore Eric Strana by 12 points over the next 2 races to win the title. And given that Eric Strana only finished P18, that is very doable. That is very doable. Olsen with a great drive, just wasn't enough to beat Schmidt in the end. Of course, Taylor picking up his first podium of the season. That's great for him, continuing his good form. I see Peter Schultz has asked, I'm in Discord voice if you need help. I think I'll bring you in for race number 2, Peter, and we will go from there. Actually, you know what? I could just bring you in.
Could, if you want.
YOLO. Oh, you're already here?
Yeah, I am here.
Oh, you should have told me. Let me just run through these results and then we'll go and introduce you properly. So, Smile Power scored pretty decently. Mike Bell 13. Adam Pinches with 5, so that's 18 points overall. Enterprise scored 21 points. They needed that. They needed some consistency back after terrible Okayama and Zuhai. Of course, ACR scoring the most points from that particular race. 9 for Chris Butcher, 25 for Schmidt, so 34. That's a big chunk into Street Fighter. That's a big chunk into Edge, especially. Edge only scored 6 points in total. Crazy race. Crazy race. And now that I realise that he's here, hello, Peter Schultz. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, James. I heard you need some help to not lose your voice altogether in the next race. So,
Peter, I always need help. That's the irony here, but it's great because it means we can actually talk about racing and talk about stuff in between races rather than leaving the audience radio silent. So I forget, Peter, you drove earlier this year, correct? In ITC?
Yeah, I did Division 2 for a few races, but then lost a bit of interest, but kind of because I had to do other series and stuff, and yeah. Also, Div 2 wasn't really that fun. Well, fun is maybe not the right word, but yeah, basically lost interest halfway through.
That's fair enough. To be fair, for a lot of these drivers, it's one of the most interesting series to take part in, though, especially given that the championship has been so close throughout the round. And let's actually give a little shout out to Division 2. Of course, they've been going on at the same time as Division 1 over the last, I mean, goodness, what is it now? 12 weeks? It would have been 12 weeks, wouldn't it? Ryan Elliott leading the championship going into this round from George Sutton. And Bart DeVos, who is an interesting seeing Bart DeVos there, because, of course, DeVos was part of the Enterprise GP at the time, as it was, title-winning outfit from 2016. I can't remember whether he took part last year or not, but it's good to see him back there. He's already taken 3 wins this season as well, so a fascinating top 3 there. Lazarus Philipparkos there in P6. He's a controller user. I don't know how he manages to make the tyres survive on a controller, but I'm impressed.
It looks quite funny, to be honest. If you drive behind him, like I've seen him on the VAC practice server. It looks quite funny. Sometimes you ask yourself, how does he keep the car on the road, and how does he save his tires, and how can he drive overall? But then somehow he makes it, and I'm impressed. And not even like off pace. He's pretty good.
Well, see, I relate somewhat to him because I was a controller user when I drove myself, but that was back on Rfactor 1. I've not ever gotten to grips with a controller on Rfactor 2 because the tire disadvantage is just that great. Like, I am an aggressive driver on the tires as is. A controller only accentuates that. So the fact, I mean, Philippakos has won a race this year. He won the Division 2 race 3 at Mazzano, which, I mean, that's one of the most, actually, no, it's not one of, it's pretty bad on the tires. I'd be curious to know what he drives as well. Actually, no, he can't drive a Subaru because there are no Subarus in Division 2. Huh. I've got to learn his ways at some point. Anyway, we've got 5 minutes of free practice until race 2. A reminder, if you are new here, the top 10 from race 1 now get the weight ballast allocations. Changes from the top 10 in the championship over qualifying in race 1. So anybody who didn't have weight ballast in race 1 is going to be really feeling it in race 2, I would think. And certainly the weight ballast having a massive effect on Kevin Sigerebenak, though I fear, Peter, that the Subaru just isn't suited to this track, especially with the back straight.
Yeah, well, I'm not really sure how the Subaru is overall, obviously because it wasn't in Div 2 when I drove there, but from what I've heard, it's the worst car. Like, that's what everyone always said, it's the worst car, and nobody should drive it. But if the Subaru doesn't get rate penalties and the others get rate penalties, he might have a good chance here, because rate penalties are really horrible. Like, you just don't go forwards on the straight.
I very rarely got weight penalties. I think the maximum I've got, and keep in mind, this is back in 2014 through to the 2015 season. And so weight ballast only went down to the top 5. And so the maximum amount of weight ballast I ever got was 18 kilograms. Was no bueno. Like, that was just worst case scenario. But to be fair, everyone's complaining about the Subaru, and yet it is the Subaru which is both leading the driver's title and the team's title. So clearly, even though it's struggling on the straights, it's a good all-round car to have. And especially at the starts as well. I mean, it's got such, in theory, a massive advantage over the rest of the field, thanks to the grip on the rear tyres.
Oh yeah. Also, driving a front-wheel drive is kind of awkward. Like, with the force feedback on the wheel, it's just so unnatural compared to everything else you normally drive in Rfactor. So I can see how it favors how the Subaru kind of is better because you're more used to rear-wheel drive cars.
So we should probably give a fair shout out, because ITC is the last thing going on at GPVWC this year, with the exception, of course, of GPVWC Day, which, if memory serves me correct, is December 2nd. I think there's a live stream going on for that as well, so worth looking out for Sim News TV for updates on that particular occasion. But we can really talk about these final 2 rounds of the season. We've got Curitiba now. Our final track that we venture to is Virginia North Course, which in theory is a very similar track to Curitiba in that it's a very fast and flowing circuit. I'm just going to grab the track map again because I'm curious as to whether it's got a long straight. I don't think it does.
Well, American tracks usually have very flowing corners put together without big straights in between.
Here we go. There is a relatively large curved back straight. That doesn't bode well for the Subaru. In fact, it is pretty, in terms of the actual corner complexes, there's not many similar to Curitiba. But in terms of the actual attributes that a car needs to succeed around Curitiba, you can pretty much find the same thing there at Virginia. And that back straightaway that doesn't look great for Subarus whatsoever. Considering as well, it's a fast final couple of corners. There's no real opportunity to use the full rear-wheel drive advantage out of a hairpin. I gotta say, like, Edge Esports, they came into this round with a decent advantage. Kevin Sigerebenak with an even better advantage in the Drivers' Championship. Kevin Sigurd-Rebenak has to make it count now for the drivers, because he might struggle in America once again, actually.
Want to hear a fun fact, James?
Oh, I love fun facts. Go for it.
Eric Strahan raced with 133 kilos of weight penalty in the first race because he set it up in his tuning menu for the car.
No! Oh! Someone did that. I think it was Schmidt did that in Okayama. Boy, oh boy, that is for a 2 times ITC champion. That's pretty hilarious. Wow. Bizarre. Just taking a look through the chat as well. Is there anybody looking around? I mean, we've got Ricardo Costa in there, Chris Shepard in there, Hani Al Sabdi. That's a name which I've not seen in a while. Why aren't you still driving for me, Hani? You gave me 1 race and that was it. In right we trust. Epic Racing. So Shepard has confirmed had to pull out. So he is not going to be contesting race 2 and race 3. Which means that the only guy who can really catch Kevin Sigurd-Rebenak now is Eric Strana. I mean, Chris Butcher did outscore him. But Chris Butcher had to outscore Kevin Sigurd-Rebenak over the course of these 3 rounds by 7 points. Oh, I mean, that's doable. Maybe Chris Butcher can reel his way back in. Practice is over. Then time to head into race number 2. A reminder that a reminder that the top 10 in this race, actually no, I lied, the top 15 in this race is even more crucial than before. Since of course we have that randomly generated reverse grid number of between 10 to 15. And so even if you don't have a great race 1, you could all recover it well in race 2. If you don't have a race 2, if you don't have a great race 2 after a brilliant race 1, you can save yourself.
Also,
1 race and 1 bog. Yeah, gone.
If you want an odd chance of winning a race in ITC, finish around P11 to 13 in race 2, so you don't get a rate penalty and have a good chance to start from pole.
The best place to be is P10. Because we've had P10 a couple of times this season.
Ah.
And you only get 9 kilograms of weight ballast anyway, which in these cars is very little. You can feel it just, but only very barely. Lucas Schmidt, however, he is going to be feeling the full force of 75 kilograms of weight ballast on board that ACR car. Let's see how he deals with it. He did all right in Okayama last time, so he's got experience at least. Olsen up alongside him in a repeat of the race 1 front row. Taylor P3 and Bell P4. And then comes the Enterprises. Gergo Baldi had a brilliant race 1 actually in retrospect from P11 to P5. Niels Brugman didn't actually end up moving anywhere, so P6 for him. Chris Butcher starts P7. We've got Cervix still inside the top 10 in P8, but this time with weight ballast, so he's going to have a difficult task on his hands. Lindenberg will start P9 with Kevin Sigurd-Rebenak inside the top 10. Goodness me, what he would do to remain in that position come race end, because he'd almost be guaranteed a race 3 win. Pinchers lines up P11 with McGlade, P12 with Ranu Muru, Dan Kell and Jack Ashton rounding out the top 15. Matthew Allington, Nico Barkley, Eric Strana, Erhan Yoyovsky and Adrian Campfield round out the top 20. And then only 8 drivers remain to name out, with, of course, no CM Tech and now Chris Shepard confirmed out for the next 2 races. Philip Morby lines up P21, with Mohamed Patel, of course, after an early incident in race 1 down to P22 for this race. David Junt will line up P23 with Tristan Potter's 24th. Ben Willis starts P25 with Wright Kilk P26. Dionysis Farrow standing P27. And Tyron Frith rounds out the grid for TTF Racing in P28. It's difficult to tell, Peter, where the win's going to come from.
Yeah, I think some of the guys with low weight penalties should put up a good fight against Lucas Schmidt, Tobias Olsen, Adam Taylor. I mean, Baldy had a good race one, from what I've seen. Maybe the guys from the back? There are some very fast people starting from the back. Patel, Jajovsky, Nico Barclay. Could be some fun there going from the back to the front, maybe?
Lucas Schmidt in his box. And just to answer Haniel Sabti briefly, no, you do not have to use both tyres across the races. You have free choice. Who's going to have the freedom to run away and take this win, though? In race number 2 at Curitiba. We're about to find out. Will the weight ballast come into effect once again, as it has done throughout a lot of this season? Will we have another new winner? Will we have a repeat winner? All these questions and more about to be answered. 5 lights above the drivers illuminate, the engine revs rise, and we're racing here once again at Curitiba. And it looks like an awful start from the front row. Goodness me. He bogs down massively, did Lucas Schmidt, and I think it was Niels Brugman who had a blinder up to P5. Olsen briefly takes the lead as they're going to go 3 wide, maybe 4 wide into the first corner. Adam Taylor goes for it, and contact between him and Lucas Schmidt. Olsen's round. Enterprise round as well. I think that's Niels Brugman. Massive incident here at the front as everyone's trying to fight their way through. There's still such massive traffic jam at the back. People trying to force their way through in so many different ways. And Adam Taylor's the one that's breaking loose. And actually, ACR Zakspeed in general has come out of that wonderfully well. P2, P3, Scott Cervix up to P4 with Pinches P5. Who's the ones who've... God, sorry.
Tobias Olsen there created a massive roadblock. He got spun and tracked from 3 cars. He was at a 90-degree angles of 3 or 4 cars and just got tracked along the straight until at some point he got loose and spun into the backfield.
Big losers include Tobias Olsen, Gergo Baldi, Erhan Yujovski. And really, they are the big guys who've lost out there. Massive incident, amateurish incident, to tell you the truth. No less can we expect, but for many, there have been big ones. Look at Nico Barclay up in P6. Let's give you a rundown of the order, shall we? Adam Taylor in the lead with Butcher and Schmidt. P2 and P3 could not be going any better for ACR Zakspeed. Cervic in 4th with Pinches, Barclay, Siggy Rebenak, Bell, Brugman and McGlade rounding out the top 10.
Barclay had a bit of a lag there. I think he has some internet issues at the moment, so there could be some incidents happening around him if his internet doesn't play along. Kevin Siggy from P10 to P7, I think, first lap as well. I think Patel gained some places as well in the first lap, and there's a bit of a gap already between P6 and P7.
That is not a surprise. Not a surprise at all, as Dionysis Faros becomes our first retirement of the day, unfortunately. And it's still really just trying to, a lot of drivers just trying to figure out their new surroundings, because that was a massive shake-up at the start.
Ooh, Mike Bell and Niels Brugman at it again. But Bell didn't leave much room for Brugman there. Brugman just got out, could get out of the move to not spin there on the grass on the inside of Mike Bell.
No surprise, Mike Bell is a very hard defender at the best of times. And now Brugman under... What an interesting trio we have here. Bell, Brugman and McGlade. These three, not the best of friends.
Butcher attacking Adam Taylor into turn 1 for the lead. Butcher on the inside of Taylor, under braking, makes the move stick. Yeah, he's got him. ACR into P1.
Now that is big.
Oh, and Lucas Schmidt under pressure from Soviek. Soviek and Lucas Schmidt side by side through the first 2 turns. Still side by side on the straight out of turn 2. Behind them, Pinches and Barclay side by side with Kevin Siggy coming along of Nico Barclay. Oh, contact between Siggy and Barclay. Siggy nearly spinning out there.
It's crazy. Cervix into 3rd. Oh, and massive
contact. Sorry, go on.
No, it's okay. There's massive contact everywhere. I was getting as excited as you. Cervix into 3rd. He overtook Lucas Schmidt, who is starting to fall like a stone. Okayama Nightmare flashbacks coming back in full. Barkley into 4th, Pinch is 5th. Actually, Barkley in 4th is the worst possible scenario for IDOS, let's be fair. But let's be fair again, a podium for IDOS would be insane. Schmidt down to 6th then. Siggy Remenak 7th with Bell, Brogman, McGlade still running out the top 10. Look at Eric Strana up there in P11. He's had a decent start. Oh my goodness, clipping the back of McGlade as well. Siggy Remenak launches his way up the inside of Lucas Schmidt from miles back. Gets the move done as well. Brilliant work once again from Kevin Siggy Remenak up into P6.
Mike Bell as well, getting close to Lucas Schmidt. Lucas Schmidt very, very slow with his weight penalty. As I said before in the warm-up, the weight penalty doesn't play in your favor on the straights. And Lucas Schmidt lost another position. Now Niels Brugman is right up his rearing. Might get a move done as well, because Niels Brugman doesn't have as much weight penalty as Lucas Schmidt.
But to be fair, they're both under massive pressure from Eric Strana, who's absolutely flying now. He looked to make a move on Niels Brugman into turn 1. I think he's going to make a move into Niels Brugman on turn 5 here, up the inside. The difference is clear. I would not doubt that a lot of these drivers will have damage from those early encounters. Niels Brugman's going to remain on the inside into turn 8 here, but I think this is a matter of when rather than if. Around the outside fully goes Eric Strana, but he clips the grass slightly, and Niels Brugman holds on for now.
Yeah, and Eric Strana under pressure from Lewis McLeod, because he went on the grass there, but obviously with 133 kilos less, he should make up some time again.
Oh, and there was a lovely move from Mohamed Patel, I noticed, through turn 10 and through turn 11. Oh, Gergo Baldy throwing his way up the inside, and Matthew Allington into P20, and Erhan Yajovski is there as well. To be fair, these guys only 10 seconds off the lead, so points and crucially the top 15 positions are not off the table yet. Thankfully for them, the incident was so early in the race that they have time to make this back as Eric Strana launches his way up the inside of Niels Brugman, and that time he makes it stick. Strana into P9. And so actually, speaking of 10 to 15, let's take you through those positions, shall we? So it's Brugman currently in 10th. Remember, Brugman has often been a bit of an aficionado when it comes to reverse grids. He scored so many good points. The only one which I recall which he hasn't done well in was Okayama Race 3, where he got involved in contact. Tries to go fully around the outside of Eric Strana. And does he still have a bit of a lip there? No. McGlade, Kell, Muru, Lindberg, and Campfield all still there. I think for the likes of Patel, for Baldy, for Yajovski, if they were to get inside that top 15, that would be a job well done. But Edge Esports, Peter, they are going to be quaking in their boots because their drivers are still 1st and 8th. Admittedly, it's not as bad as it was looking a couple of laps ago with both of the drivers on the podium, but they would not have wanted to see Chris Butcher leading this race. Especially Kevin Siggy Remenak, of course. Chris Butcher putting himself back into the title fight.
Nico Barclay, side by side with Soviet, fighting for P3. Barclay ahead on the braking into turn 1. Yeah, he's got him. Behind them, Siggy and Adam Pinches as well, side by side. Pinches still in front of them. And Eric Strana ahead of Lucas Schmidt as well.
Yeah. Strana absolutely siding his way through the field. Oh, massive off there. That is a YDF1 and a TTF. I think that must have been Lindberg and Muru getting into contact. Oof. And Kevin Siggy around the outside of Pinches. Would you believe it? He's going to do it again. Fully around the outside of turn 6, into turn 7, and into turn 8. Kevin Siggy Remenak. He might not have the straight line speed, but he's got the driving... Well, he's got the driving... finesse on his side. He's been driving beautifully today, Peter, and he's up into P5.
Yeah, and while Siggy makes up places, Lucas Schmidt falls even further behind. Brugman is right up there. He's losing so much time to Eric Strana. Brugman, McLeod, even Dan Carl will probably make their way past Lucas Schmidt within the next 2 or 3 laps.
Really struggling with the weight ballast, Lucas Schmidt. It's one thing to show good pace in ITC. That's fair enough. It's one thing to go on and win a race in ITC. That's fair enough, but the true ITC champions can manage weight, and Schmidt, over both of his appearances with weight ballast, has not impressed that much. Niels Brugman to go fully around the outside of turn 1, and he makes it stick as well. Does he just though? No, Schmidt tries to keep it on the inside, but Niels Brugman is going to complete the move. Great determination to make that stick.
Yeah, because Lucas Schmidt had a bad exit out of turn 2 now. Dankar, Lewis McGlade both trying to attack Lewis McGlade up the inside of Lucas Schmidt. Lucas lets him room, tries to hold his position around the outside of Lewis McGlade, still in front of them. And we'll have the inside for the next corner, so Lucas Schmidt might be safe for another lap.
Oh, he brakes very late, doesn't he? Bit of a lock of the brakes. And could Kel capitalise on McGlade going wide here? Two teammates, of course, they're looking to coordinate their actions well. And Lewis McGlade will stay ahead. Oh, Lewis McGlade to the inside of Schmidt. Is he going to launch up the inside of turn 10? Yes, he is! Oh. He's in contact between the two. They stay in one piece. I can't believe they do. And they come out of the corner in the same way that they came in. Incredible driving.
Yeah, this could have ended very badly. I'm very surprised Lewis McGlade could hold that. Very impressed by that. Lewis McGlade will now have a run on Lucas Schmidt, slipstream, less rate than Lucas. I think this will be a done deal. Behind them, Dankal, Adrian Campfield side by side as well. Campfield will move up a position, probably under braking, and McGlade passed Lucas Schmidt as well. Oh, actually, side by side contact between Cal and McGlade, and Cal manages to fight back there.
I noticed actually Kevin Seeger-Rebenak as well. He's made his way past Scott Cervic, and now he's looking at Adam Taylor.
Barclay in P2 as well. He got past Adam Taylor.
Good spot. Taylor, I mean, of course, remember, he got P3 in race 1, so he's sure to be suffering with the weight ballast as much as anyone else. Kevin Seeger-Rebenak on the precipice of a podium here, looking to limit the damage as much as possible when it comes to Chris Butcher winning this race, at least. Oh, so close to getting around the outside of Taylor there, but he's going to have to wait another lap. Scott Cervic now looking to fend off Adam Pinches. Bell and Strana battling for P7 and 8. So actually Strana passed Bell. That's brilliant driving from Eric Strana. Such a much more... Well, I guess he had a bit of luck, but yeah.
Kevin Siggy has an amazing exit out of the last corner. He was nearly a car length back to Adam Taylor. Is up his rear bumper, just coming out of the corner, trying to slipstream Taylor. Still a bit slow on the straight, even though Taylor has a bigger rate penalty. And can he make it around the outside into turn 1? No, Adam Taylor brakes later. And now Soviek and Pinches side by side into turn 1, under braking. Still side by side to turn 2, the next turn 3 as well. Now Eric Strana gets involved there to the battle for P5, sorry, while Kevin Siggy tries to take Adam Taylor again.
To be fair, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking Scott Cervic finishing inside the top 10. It's around the outside. He's done this before, Kevin Siggy. This is apparently the optimal line for the Subaru. What amazing traction out of there again. Around the outside of turn 6. He's going to be up the inside again at turn 7. And he's going to be through in turn 8 once again. Kevin Seeger-Rebenak has figured out this infield section like the back of his hand. That is the 3rd move in 2 races he's pulled off like that.
He just drifted around the outside of Adam Taylor there through the whole corner.
Outstanding driving. And he's on the podium. Amazing stuff. Taylor down to P4 then. Looking to hold off Adam Pinches. Oh, he holds up Adam Pinches quite a bit, actually, through that final corner. Cervic still in 6. They're charging Eric Strana there in P7. Bell and Brugman kind of in a world of their own, honestly. Then it's McGlade, Campfield, Schmidt, Kell, Morby, Patel, and Baldy to a certain extent as well, who's dragging Muru and Yayovsky. Those 3 will be desperate for something to happen ahead.
Pinches got past Adam Taylor. Braking onto one. Eric Strana passed both. Past Scott Soviek? Yeah, past Scott Soviek, who had to take a bit of the crest there through the first few turns. And now Strana attacking Adam Taylor as well.
He's just got to survive. Strana on the outside of Adam Taylor now. Looking to basically repeat what Kevin Siggy's done, but I don't think it's going to work in these front-wheel drive cars. You're going to need the inside line for that one. As behind, Mohamed Patel goes into battle with Philip Morby, looking to basically repeat what his teammate's doing, but against another Subaru, that is going to be more difficult. Although, look at Patel. Great drive out of turn 6. And into turn 7 and turn 8, Patel is up into P14.
And further up front, Eric Strana was nearly spun around. He tried to go around the outside of Taylor. Both Taylor and Strawn went right. Soviek and Bell both a bit late on the brakes, tapped the rear of Eric Strawn, and Strawn nearly went around. But he held it and is attacking Adam Taylor again now, out of the last corner into the main straight.
Is that a good run, Eric Strana? And you would think surely this is going to be P5 for the Swedish 2 times ITC champion. Goes to the inside. And surely this is going to be... He's already passed on the straight. No real defense from Adam Taylor. And Eric Strana is into the top 5 from a starting position, Peter, of outside the top 15. He's having a stormer.
Yeah, he must enjoy himself quite a bit, running much lighter car, having a bit of fun in traffic. Oh, and Soviet goes up the inside of Taylor on the braking. Soviet up in P6.
Don't count him out. He's making up positions as much as he is losing them. It's equaling out into a very healthy situation for race 3. Taylor has to brake late. Oh, late! Good reactions from Mike Bell. Saw what was happening ahead, went to the outside, keeps his car in one piece. Brugman, McGlade. Well, Brugman's in a world of his own. McGlade under pressure from Campfield. Kell under pressure from Schmidt, who's having a bit of a late race resurgence. Patel, Morby, and look at Gergo Boldy, so close to the top 15. It might all be for nil, but at least scoring a point might do him some good. Lindbergh retired, by the way, halfway through this race. Forgot to mention that. So still only 2 retirements, despite the opening lap farcical things going on. But let's talk about Chris Butcher now. It's lap 12 of 13, and he's 3.6 seconds clear. What a brilliant drive from him to keep his championship hopes alive.
Oh. Mike Bell, dive bombing Adam Taylor a bit. Late on the brakes into turn 1, makes the move stick.
So that's Mike Bell up into P7, Adam Taylor down to P8.
And talking about ACR and Edge, Patel I think started P22 or somewhere around there. Lucas Schmidt started first, and they are half a second apart from each other now.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. Under so much pressure, Lucas Schmidt. He has fallen like a stone. And down in P13, he is at serious risk of not getting fortune from the reverse grid. Was there a position up there? Kevin Siggy's on the back of Nico Barkley, would you believe? He's got 1 lap to try and pull off a move, but he's right there. Oh, Adam Pinches goes a little bit wide as well. That could allow Eric Strana in. Scott Cervix clear of Mike Bell. Fair play. This has been an outstanding round from the IDOS driver.
Barclay and Siggy both kind of a bad exit. Both clipped the grass a bit. At first I thought it was only Barclay, but then Siggy tried to follow the slipstream and went onto the grass as well. But Siggy doesn't have the straight line speed. Oh, Barclay late on the brakes. He's too late on the brakes. He's missing his braking point. Siggy is past.
Free position. And oh, Taylor! Taylor, what's happened to him? He's fallen massively down the order, down to P8 now. Matthew Allington out with the DNF as well. I think that might have been a lag moment for Adam Taylor. Oh, Patel's round! Patel's round!
And Lucas Schmidt, this was an incident between Lucas Schmidt and Patel. Lucas Schmidt just lost 3 or 4 positions. Let me take a look at the replay.
And Adrian Campfield as well under pressure from Lewis McGlade. All of this has helped Gergo Boldy into the points. And Johan Jujovski.
Oh no.
Oh no, what happened?
Side by side into turn 1. Lucas Schmidt outside, Patel inside into turn 1. Lucas Schmidt cuts turn 2, gets on the anti-cut, goes into Patel, turns in. Patel can't turn. They both go outside. Patel into the wall, Lucas Schmidt onto the grass.
What a fall from grace from Lucas Schmidt. Such a shame. But his teammate, he's picking up where he left off. It might be no points from the Swiss side of the garage, but the ever-present British side of the garage storms home to his first win of the season? No way. That's a lie. It's his first win of the season. Would you believe it? Chris Butcher takes it in Curitiba. Kevin Siggy Rebenak, though, damage limitation to the maximum. P2 for the Subaru. In trying conditions, Barkley picks up yet another podium for own GP with Eric Strana storming from outside of the points through to P4. Adam Pinch is P5 ahead of Scott Cervic in P6. What a round he's having. Mike Bell P7 with Niels Brugman P8. Adam Taylor P9 with Campfield P10 in his Campfield. who begins our potential candidates for reverse grid pole position. McGlade, Kell, Morby, Yayovsky, and Boldy just sneaking in at the end there. Those two involved in an early incident. The rest of your finishers were Muro Potters, Junt Schmidt, Willis Kilk, Ashton, Olsen, Frith, and not Patel, because Patel retired on that final lap, along with, throughout the race, Allington, Lindbergh, and Feroz. And already things have kicked off.
Yeah,
Let's just put it this way. You had your analysis, Peter. You looked at the replay and said what you thought. ACR disagrees.
Yes. Well, the thing is, there's a bit of history between the team Muhammad Patel normally drives for in ACR in another league. Yeah, I think this is part of the reason why the reaction is how it is.
And so let me just very quickly take a picture.
I did as well.
Yeah. I'm going to take a picture of the standings because, of course, we want to know who gets that reverse grid pole. Now, more often than not, it has leaned in towards 10th to 13th. That's been the general thing, and it's not like every single number has an equal opportunity of being drawn. But obviously, you want to be higher up the order in race 2 so that you're guaranteed a decent starting position in race 2. Gogo Baldy asking, how much should I pay to get 15th for a reverse grid number? I tell you what, if Gogo Baldy got reverse grid pole, you would not put it past him to take the win in race 3, because he's already won a race this season. That was in race 3. His pace in race 1 looked good. Same can be said of Erhan Yayovsky, to be honest. A race winner himself. That would be a very powerful front row in race 3. I would not feel good if I was Philip Morby looking to steal the march. Wow, and how about this for a fact as well? Gogo Baldy tells me he lost 20% on his front tyres from that turn 1 incident alone. That's crazy.
Interested what Tobias Olsen lost on tire wear there, because he got dragged along for a long time being sideways.
Yeah, did Olsen even finish in the... No, he didn't finish in the points, did he? He was another casualty.
I mean, he was facing the wrong way in the middle of the field after turn 2 or turn 3 and had to let everyone through.
I'm just having a little look at chat, and I don't know. Some are siding with Schmidt. It could be more 50-50. I mean, to be fair, I think that's been a staple of this series this season. In terms of actual, on paper, driver quality, we've got the best ITC season that this series has ever seen. The fact that the championships have been so close to this point is brilliant. That's what we all love to see. However, the new mod has only accentuated the problems with body contact. And I feel like people have just got to be more careful. I feel part of it falls on the disciplinary committee. We need good penalties and not strong opinions, but, you know, right opinions on what incidents happen. Because, yeah, as amazing as some of the battles, I mean, you just got to look at Kevin C. Rebenak in the first 2 races here. His moves on people were incredible and respectful. To an incident with his teammate Patel and Schmidt, and okay, you can side with one or the other, but the point is it still happened when it shouldn't have.
True. I think that's a problem in general, though, which is even worse here in ITC because it's advertised as kind of a contact sport, I guess. The thing with these cars is if you make kind of contact like front wheel to rear wheel with another car and one of the two needs to turn, the chances are high that either one of them spins or can't turn in. So situations like Muhammad Patel and Lucas Schmidt happens, and then there also is some kind of disrespect, I feel, with people turning in when there's someone on the inside. That's like not a generalization, but obviously it happens. So I guess it needs to be kind of more respect between the drivers and also more harshness with the stewards, with the DC to hand out penalties. But I mean, yeah, it kind of can be the mod, as you said, because if you do a contact sport, then either you have a car which turns and doesn't spin instantly, or yeah, you have what it is now.
Now, where did Strana finish in race 2?
In second, didn't he?
He was 4th. Because I'm just doing the
Oh, so yeah,
calculations now.
Siggy was second.
So Butcher has scored 25. He was 7th in race 1. And so 25 plus 9 equals 34. Kevin Siggy-Rebenak has scored 6 points, followed up by 20. So he has scored 26. Strana has scored 13 from his lone 4th. So, taking all that into account, and I'm just seeing, has the reverse number been called yet? No, it isn't.
I don't think so.
So, looking at the standings, Kevin Siggy-Rebenak was 58
10.
points.
Number 10.
Campfield on pole again. Would you believe it? I think that's the 3rd time this year that Campfield has gotten, not Campfield, but P10 has gotten reverse grid pole position. So that means our front row, or front couple of rows, will be Campfield and Taylor, Brogman and Bell, Cervic and Pinches. Interesting. Right. Now, let's look at the championship standings. Strana was 58 points behind Kevin Siggy-Rebenak. So, at the moment, Kevin Siggy-Rebenak is scoring 13 over Strana, which would take that up to a 71-point lead. So if Kevin Siggy-Rebenak outscores, so if Reb outscores Strana by 5 points, let's say, just to be safe, he wins. Butcher has outscored Kevin Siggy-Rebenak by 8 points. Now, he was 81 behind at the start of play today, but the 8-point swing has brought him to within 73 points. So that means that he'd have to outscore Butcher by 3 points to win. So there is your championship permutations, everyone. If he outscores Strana by 5 points, and if he outscores Chris Butcher by 3 points, Kevin Siggy-Rebenak wins the championship. The team championship is still wide open because Edgy Sports have done terribly today. Overall, no points scored from Patel's side of the garage. Jeffrey Fournier, the more chance I've got of scoring points for next round. Is Jeffrey Fournier going to make a star-studded special appearance at the final round of the season? That'd be excellent. You have been much missed from this championship this year, good sir. Matt Richards so pessimistic. It's not a matter of if Siggy will win. It's when. You never know. And that's the thing. You never know.
We saw them going 4 wide and 3 wide into turn 1 just in the last race, so
right.
I wouldn't predict anything here.
To be fair, Siggy-Rebenak's going to be launched back to where would he start? He's going to start P9, isn't he? But with, to be fair, he's going to have, what is it? 60 something?
54?
66 kilograms of weight ballast, which is only 9 less than what he had in race 1, and he was okay in race 1. He made up positions, but he was hardly on stellar pace. I think we've got a good chance of seeing both championships go to Virginia, to be honest. Those are small amounts to outscore a driver by. Let us wait and see. Let's put it this way. Kevin Rfactor has done amazingly all year long. And he's put himself in a very, very healthy position to win the championship, regardless of whether that's here or in America. He's come close before, actually. 2015. Where he was with Enterprise at the time. I can't remember whether he was P2 or P3 that year. But he won a lot of races. And he actually lost out to Eric Strana, so once again, it's new mod, but the faces at the top of the times don't really change. You don't see them lose pace or anything. Because actually, I remember back in 2016, Adrian Holm came in after a full year out and went on to win the championship that year. And so time flies when you're having fun. And Curitiba has been an exciting circuit. I think it's been, with the exception of the silliness that was race 2, turn 1, I think it's been a very entertaining track to watch. Good addition. Good addition. Certainly mixes things up from Interlagos, I feel.
It does. It does.
For Adrian Campfield, though, well, he's been in this position before. Literally 2 weeks ago, where YDF1 recorded their first ever 1-2 in history. Can he pick up a third race win in the season for a driver that is outside the top 10?
His hardest enemy, probably Adam Taylor, I think. Adam, it depends on how hard he tries and wants it, and obviously practice for it. But Adam Taylor is or can be a very fast driver. Also a very risky driver, but risky in a sense that it is calculated, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So if he sees a chance to overtake a car, he will be there. So Adam Campfield has to look out for him.
Yeah, do not count out Brugman or Bell, though. Neither of those drivers have won a race yet, but they have featured on the podium multiple times.
Yeah, Brugman showed good pace the last 2 races, at least.
And he was involved in the first incident as well. In a big way. So maybe damage on the car. We'll wait and see. Cervix starts P5. What a round this boy's having. What a round. And he's not a boy. He's older than me, I'm pretty sure. But goodness me. What a round. Adam pinches P6 then. Strana 7th with Barkley, Siggy Rebenak, and Butcher rounding out the top 10. McGlade, Kell, Morby, Yuyovsky, and Baldy are your drivers down to 15th. With Muru, Potters, Yunt, Schmidt, Willis rounding out the top 20. Kilk, Ashton, Alston, Frith, Battelle, Allington, and Limburg round out your top 27. Which means that we have lost yet another, and I think that's Dionysis Feroz, who has decided not to come back for racing. So one YDF1 at the back of the field, and one YDF1 at the very front of it. Can Campfield take lucky win number 3, or will one of the 3 drivers who featured on the podium before behind him spoil the party? Or could we see a real upset? Could any of the drivers behind fly through the field? Based on form this season, very unlikely. But it'd be good to see them try. So difficult to make your way forward from these reverse grid races. The weight ballast really does have the most effect in this race.
Chris Butcher is pointed towards the middle from P10.
He knows. He knows that he's got to try and outscore Kevin Siggy-Rebenak no matter what. Championships could be decided here, ladies and gents. Let's hope it's a good one. We're off and away here for the final race in Curitiba this evening. And it's hard to tell who's had the better start. I think it is Campfield. He's stolen the march on Taylor. Mike Bell has had a shocker. He has had an absolute shocker down to 8th. So it's Brugman up to P3. And there goes Taylor launching himself into turn 1 for the lead. And he gets it as well. You were right, and Brugman capitalizes. He's up into P2.
Oh, no.
Oh, Barclays round. Barclays round. And are we going to have a repeat of last time? No. Everyone thankfully avoided him.
Oh, incident with Lucas Schmidt as well, I think. And Matthew Ellington, Raul Numuro out, Ben Willis at the back as well.
Oh, contact! Brugman and Campfield, they go contact through turn 6. All of this allowing Adam Taylor to romp off into the distance. Look at Scott Cervic looking eager, looking hungry. He's touched. Oh, contact! No. And Brugman has to put his foot down. And how on earth game 2 out of that? Thankfully for him, he was in a front-wheel drive.
Another big spin at the back. Jajowski got spun out, I think. He DNF'd on the spot. And
so,
just as I said on the formation lab, Adam Taylor, if he sees a chance, he will be there.
You know what? He said, screw it. Let's try. And it has proven such fruitful dividends. He leads by 1.5 seconds at the end of lap 1 from Campfield. Brugman pinches Cervic, Strana, McGlade, Kell, Siggy-Rebenak and Baldy, who's made a great start up to P10. There goes Brugman on the outside of Adrian Campfield, looking to force a mistake. The YDF1 driver goes a little deep, but holds on for now. Mike Bell had a shocker of a start. He's down to P24, and he is probably, along with Yoski, the biggest loser from that start, along with Schmidt, of course, and Barkley.
Campfield, horrible exit out of turn 3, but better straight line speed than Brugman, and got ahead again.
I think Brugman's going to be looking to conserve tyres a little bit as well. Let's look at the championship commentations. A reminder, Butcher needs to outscore. What?
three right sandwich between Potters, I think, Olsen, and was it? I don't know. I think the third one was right Kilk, but I'm not quite sure. Two on the grass. True on the grass, Potters got out the worst.
Willis also retires from that incident, I think. Reminder on the championship connotations, Butcher needs to outscore Kevin Siggy-Rebenak by 3. Currently, he is behind Kevin Siggy-Rebenak in the order. Strana needs to outscore him by 5, however. And Strana's in 11th, Siggy-Rebenak in 9th. That is 7 points for Kevin Siggy-Rebenak. 11 for Strana, so Strana needs one more position, or he needs Kevin Siggy-Rebenak to drop a position. Here comes Niels Brugman once again. Look at Taylor. Taylor leads by 2 seconds. He's clocking out. Brugman ahead on the straight, brakes so late, goes around the outside of turn 1. Brilliant move into P2.
And we might have a repeat soon between Edge and ACR. Patel on the bumper of Chris Butcher, now going side by side out of turn 3 on the straight into turn 4. Patel on the outside, will he make the same move as Kevin Siggy did in race 2 like 5 times? He does, on the outside, Butcher on the right, hits Patel a little bit and stays ahead of Patel. Now Philip Morby comes in as well, having a bit of a battle with both of them.
Morby up in 13th, David in the points for CM Tech. A rarity indeed. So, Brugman free of Campfield. Can he chase down Taylor? Campfield still in P3 with Pinches 4th, but he's got Eric Strana all over the back of him. And a reminder, actually, Kevin Siggy has just lost a position to Gergo Baldy. Baldy is up into 9th. So as things stand, the championship in the driver's title does go to the final round in Virginia. But, Peter, we're only on to lap 4 of 13. Still plenty can change.
Yeah, and Butcher is under immense pressure by Muhammad Patel now. He should be quite safe on the straights, but Patel is actually gaining right now. Will he still gain when he pulls out of the slipstream? No. Will he try on the outside into turn 1? Butcher late on the brakes. Takes the line into turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. If Patel gets a good exit, he might try into turn 4 on the outside again. He has a good exit. He's gaining on Butcher again on the straight. Still gaining. He will try on the outside on the braking.
Also,
He's ahead on the braking.
We've got to look further up, by the way. Kevin Siggy's just about to... He's done it again. He's done it again on Dan Kell. Chris Butcher looks... Oh, no. Maybe a double-edge move here as Patel is on the inside. Look at the purchase he's got. And he is going to be up the inside of turn 8. Butcher brakes very late. Tries to hold it around the outside now of turn 8. But Patel seems to have that one locked down. Yep, he is fully ahead. Finally, it pays off for Mohamed Patel. He's up into 11th. But Kevin Siggy up into 9th. And so the pendulum swings towards him once again as Eric Strana is forced to overtake Pinches to keep this championship alive. He's not been able to pass Pinches for the last couple of laps. And looking up to the top, Peter, I think that lead gap's coming down as well. It's come down 1.3 seconds.
Yeah, and Eric Strana tries to make a move around the outside. Adam Pinches going into the braking into turn 1. Pinches late on the brakes, takes the lead into turn 1. Now Eric Strana is trying to get a good exit out of turn 3. Has a better exit than Pinches, but runs to the left. If he could have slotted on the inside, slotted in there, he might have a good chance. Will he try on the braking into turn 4? Oh yes, he's going up the inside.
Oh, it's bold. Contact between the two. Strana saw a door, it opened, and he put his foot in. Pinches still has purchased on the outside though. Oh, contact through turn 6, into turn 7, into the hairpin of turn 8. Pinches will have the inside. And his defensive efforts have, thankfully for his sake, gone well. As McGlade contacts, I think, with someone? Or was it lag?
He was very late on the brakes. Side by side with Dan Cal, with Kevin Siggy right behind, and I think he just missed the corner.
Right, so both Auroras are now behind Baldy and Siggy. Baldy in 7th, Siggy 8th. So the Aurora starting to drop back after a great start. Patel, Butcher, Morby, Olsen and Yunt. The rest of your point scorers. Let's have a shout out for Scott Servicus as well. Still holding station in P6. But Strana is as close as he has ever been on Adam Pinches. Once again, Pinches goes to the inside. Once again, Strana will be forced to the outside. He's got the overlap. He's going to have to brake mightily late as the Swede. He tries to sweep around the outside at turn 1. But Pinches swipes across the turn and says, no thank you, you're not coming. Remains in P4.
Same thing he tried last lap. It didn't work again. Will he try on the inside again into turn 4 though? He tries, Pinches, crosses over again. Strana doesn't do the move. I think Smartly doesn't do it. Otherwise there might have been a bigger incident there.
If Strana goes up into P4, of course, the points, they incrementally move up the further up the field you go. If Strana was to get into P4, even though Kevin Siggy has made his way into P8, he would still keep the championship alive. But it must be said, Rebenak is keeping Baldy very hot on his toes indeed. In fact, Baldy looking to try and make his way past Scott Cervic now. You feel like he could do with that barrier.
Oh, I think Strana might get a better exit this time around onto the main straight. Not really. I think he's not close enough to get a good run for turn 1. It will be the same again as the last 2 laps.
The lead has come down to within a second, by the way. Lap 7 of 13. Slipstream. Oh, look how dynamically Strana switches to the outside. Tries to go around the outside again. Doesn't come off. And Cervic, full on defense mode against Gogo Body, who's got to be careful because Siggy, Kell and McGlade are lying in wait, ready to pounce if any mistakes are to be had. Patel also watching brief in P11, and then it's a 2-second gap to Chris Butcher, who has really struggled. Remember, he's got 75 kilograms of weight ballast on the car.
I think Niels Brookman has a good chance of winning this. Didn't Adam Taylor fall down the order in race 2 as well after half the race?
He did, but he came P3 in race 1, whereas in race 2 he was P9. So he still does have 18 kilograms on board that car, but it's hardly as much as he had in race 1. Or in race 2, sorry.
I thought about maybe having a bit of an issue saving his tires or working his tires, so Brookman might be better on the tire.
I'll tell you what, he's even closer this time, isn't he? He's properly tucked up in the slipstream. Is that 5/10? It is 5/10 the gap. We have a battle for the lead on.
Oh, and Strana really make a move on the inside this time around? No, Pinches defends the inside again. Strana is close.
Pinches is defending beautifully well. And he's starting to cause a real bottleneck now. Cervic and pretty much the rest of the top 10, they're on the case. Oh, and Olsen makes his way past Butcher. That was a late lunge. This is actually pretty crucial because Red Bull Street Fighter, they're still in with a chance of winning the teams. They've had a decent round so far. Of course, Olsen non-scoring in race 2 as Baldy's past Cervic. And that looks like contact.
Yeah, there was contact. Now Siggy tries to go through contact between Cal, was it? Yeah, Cal, Cervic, Siggy, all made a bit of contact. Siggy, will he go for the inside? No. But Siggy just gained 2 places, I think.
And Strana's past Pinches. Strana is past Pinches. He's going to have the inside into turn 10, surely. Pinches tries to hold on around the outside. Oh my goodness me. It's going to make it stick as well. Side by side through turn 10 and 11. Brilliant driving. Brilliant respect between these two. Pinches on the inside. Strana sweeps around the outside at turn 12. Great battle. And for Strana, he's not back in the driving seat because Kevin Siggy's gone past Cervic as well. 9 points for Siggy. 13 for Strana.
But Pinches has a lot of straight line speed. Will he make the move around the outside? What Strana didn't?
Bogman! Sorry, there was a move for the lead, and sorry, Pinches around the outside of Strana. Oh my God, Pinches has done it again! He's done it again! Strana is right back at square one, but Niels Brugman launched a similar type of assault on Adam Taylor as lap 9 of 13, and I wouldn't even call this a slow burner. It's been a brilliant race throughout the field so far. But it's really bubbling up into something quite tasty now. By the way, for those interested, and I know that Mr. Skinner will be interested, took a little look back at that Baldy and Cervic contact. Baldy was a little bit late on the brakes, but he was on the inside, so it was him not stopping in time for the corner, which was the issue, not him bashing into the side of Cervic.
Strana and Pinches within 1/10, Brookman and Taylor within 1/10.
I think we've got to look at the lead battle.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because here's the thing, these two are now going straight into battle, and Adrian Campfield is gaining time, hand over fist on these two.
Taylor on the grass. Taylor on the grass on the exit, this won't help him at all.
But he's gone to the inside, and so Brugman is going to have to try and make the move around the outside. Is he going to be ahead on the straight? I don't even think he's going to be ahead on the straight. No, Taylor brakes very late. Oh, that's real late on the brakes. Is he going to have to take to the grass? No, he gets it. Stopped in time. Well played, sir.
Oh, Strana on the grass through turn 2. Contact on the exit of turn 3 between Pinches and Strana. Strana loses the position. Baldy into P5 now. Siggy trying to get ahead of Eric Strana as well.
And is Baldy going to make a lunge up the inside of Pinches? Yes. Oh, he is! What a late lunge from Gergo Baldy. He took Cervic the same way. Oh, the two drivers behind wanting to get involved as well. Look at Pinches, though. He's got the inside going up the hill. On the outside. Oh, contact! Massive contact! And, well, that was poor.
Yeah, yeah.
From both sides, to be honest. Like, why get that close? Baldy returns to the circuit in P10. And Kevin Siggy's now in P5. He's the one who's benefited most.
I think I have to look at the replay, but it looked like Pinches ran out of the road.
I agree. I agree entirely. But they shouldn't be that close. Let's look up to two people who are very close, though. Yeah, Taylor and Brugman. Well, one enterprise has potentially failed. The other.
Way too late. This is way too late.
Oh, that is absolutely too far off the road. He's got to give it back. He doesn't have to give it back. Niels Brugman is into the lead on lap 11 of 30. And now Taylor's got Campfield for company.
And probably massive flat spots. Like, this was definitely a 2 real lockup, maybe even 4 real lockup.
Campfield! Looks up the inside. And Taylor's going to stay ahead for now.
Oh, Siggy right up the bumper of Strana. I think there was a little bumping into turn 4 as well.
And look at Dan Kell interested. Oh, goes to the outside of Kevin Siggy Rebenak. Oh, goodness, a massive lockup there for Rebenak. And look at Kell going clean around the outside. Could he be about to drop a position here?
Yeah.
Great driving from Dan Kell. Wow, great move. We've got to go back up to P2 because we're looking at Taylor really struggling now. To be fair, Niels Brugman has not much. So Taylor's going to be benefiting from Slipstream. Campfield's going to be benefiting from Slipstream. Penultimate lap of this race, are we going to see a lunge from Mr. Campfield onto Mr. Taylor? They all decide, no, discretion is a better part of valor. But look at Strana behind. Look at Kel behind. Is he going to make a move on Strana? The answer is no.
These are 6 cars battling for P4 within basically 1.5 seconds.
It could all end up in anyways. Oh, Campfield! Mate, he had a little look on Taylor. And Niels Brugman, his advantage is slender. It's real slender. I think his tyres are starting to fall off. He made the move stick when it counted, but look how much he's struggling into the braking zone.
Yeah, it seems like... Maybe Taylor was just saving his tires in the middle of the race, and that's why he fought for all back. Campfield taking some interesting lines there, I have to say.
Well, to be fair, if anyone was to have the best tyres out of these three, I would say it'd be Campfield.
Yeah.
Because Taylor's ruined his through turn 1.
Campfield really laid on the brakes for the last turn, nearly ran into Taylor there.
And what an exit from Taylor! I tell you what, final lap of the race. Niels Brugman might have to get his defensive gloves on at the moment. Yeah, look at this. He has to go defensive. Taylor goes to the outside. He's going to have to brake super late. Look at the straight line speed from that Honda. Goes clean around the outside of Niels Brugman and retakes the lead.
Amazing move by Taylor there. Campfield very close as well. If Brugman doesn't watch out, Campfield will just go around the outside.
Very true. Very true indeed.
And battle for P5. Kevin Siggy very close to Dan Carl. Muhammad Patel very close to Pinches as well.
And Patel looking to go fully around the outside. Baldy holds on from McGlade. Patel is going to go fully around the outside of Pinches. Look at this. All the way up the hill.
Campfield on the inside of Brugman.
He's got him.
He got him, yeah.
His tyres have gone. Niels Brugman made the move when it counted, but he didn't have the tyre life to make it last. And down the hill, Campfield goes lawn mowing to try and keep ahead. Behind, of course, Mohammed Patel has confirmed that position. But around the final corner, his tyres must be screaming. But on the straights, it's the Honda that remains supreme. Adam Taylor took his first podium in race 1. He takes his first race win of the season here in race 3 at Adrian Campfield with a second place finish to follow up his strong race 3 form. Niels Brugman P3 with Strana P4, Kel P5. And ladies and gentlemen, your 2018 ITC Drivers' Champion, Kevin Siggy, is crowned here in race 3 at Curitiba. Cervic makes it 3 top 10 finishes with Patel P8, Pinches P9 and Gergo Baldy P10. McGlade, Olsen, Butcher, Yunt and Schmidt, your final point scorers. Your retirements were Yovsky, Willis and Barkley. Great drive from Taylor. Brilliant battles throughout the field. But at the end of it all, it is Kevin Siggy Rebenak who is your champion.
As you like fun facts so much, do you want to hear another one?
Throw it at me, go for it.
Nico Barkley ran out of fuel in lap 6.
What did he put in? Qualifying fuel or something?
Might be, yeah.
Oh boy, oh boy. Oh, wow. What a few races. And let's just look at the teams. Again, the team championship is nowhere near done. Enterprise had a good round. That's a good bounce back from form. Smile Power didn't score in this race. Epic Racing didn't score a single point across all 3 races today. Nightmare for them. ACR dropped the ball in race 3. They only scored 4 points between their 2 drivers. Edge had a decent race 3. They recovered some points there.
Patel did a good job for Edge in race 3. He started P24, finished P8.
Strana did decently as well. So Strana was, Street Fighter did decently in race 1 and race 3. Adonis Yayovsky was caught up in so much of the shenanigans. It's kind of a shame because they did some decent point scores, and a win, but alas. I'm fascinated to see how the team's championship is going into Virginia, because I don't think it's clear cut at all as to who wins that. I mean, let's just take a little look at the standings. Because Edge Esports, they only had a 38 points gap over Street Fighter. I'd be tempted to say that Street Fighter are still in the lead. I think Epic Racing have probably dropped down to outside the top 5. I think Enterprise and Smile have moved up. Maybe Adonis have moved up as well. One thing's for certain, it's going to be a heck of a lot closer than it was going into this round. Right, let's get some interviews in, shall we? And let us start with the man who is your 2018 ITC champion, Kevin Diggy Rebenak. You needed a bit of luck ahead of you to just seal it there in the final race. But after coming close in 2015, in 2018, you are the ITC champion. How does it feel?
I didn't actually know well, I didn't know I was a champion, so I'm actually really happy now. I was surprised that I got the championship right now, but yeah, it was an eventful race. Oh my god, it was like one of the luckiest ones as well with race 2, turn 3. But yeah, I think the whole season I did what I could, the best that I could. But yeah, the car was just too good in the races, and I absolutely loved it.
I gotta say, the Subaru looked like it was really struggling around this circuit. Your worst qualifying by far of the season. Was it really that bad? Was the back straight that much of a hindrance to you guys?
It wasn't really the back stretch. The car on the straight was fine, but it was only the kilos that got the car to be really slow. I mean, Mohammed could have been P1 100% if he did a perfect lap, but considering the car, I think with tire wear, we had the best car again here, and I think I think I proved it already with I think 5 or 6 outside around the outside overtakes in some corners that's like really impossible to overtake. And yeah, I think the car was just perfectly executed.
I'm going to throw one final question at you, and it's a bit more of a wider one, a discussion point that we had earlier in the broadcast. As a champion, you're probably going to have a couple of opinions on the level of quality of driving in the field. Now, nobody's going to disagree and say this was the closest ITC has ever been, which is great. But what would you like to see happen going into 2019 to make the driving a bit cleaner?
I think I have no clue. I think having maybe the token system with protest, I think that should go away, but that will promote people to protest as much as possible and protest people that did what's it called, track limits that were. So I'm not too sure. I think this was a good idea, but I think there weren't enough tokens to be around, and I think that just increasing the token level, the amount you can report or protest, I think that's the only way you could do it. But I think overall, some of the races were very clean, but some of them weren't, of course. But that's just how it is, unfortunately.
Well, interesting thoughts indeed. I actually largely agree with you on that one. And go and celebrate, Kev. You didn't know, but yes, you are the 2018 ITC champion. So congratulations. And let's go to let's have a bit of Butchie next, shall we? Let's have a bit of Butchie. Chris took another. I was surprised actually. I didn't realize you hadn't race until race 2. So firstly, congratulations on your first race win this season.
Yeah, thank you.
It wasn't to be, though, at the end of the day. You had to outscore Kevin Seeger-Rebenak by 3 points to take the title race to Virginia Raceway. And it just seemed like he just had that little extra, don't mind the pun, he had that little extra bit of edge on you today.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I missed the last round at Okayama anyway, so it was always going to be a tall order. I made the decision to focus on Formula Challenge, which obviously paid off. But, you know, ultimately, even if I hadn't have done that, you know, his pace has been incredible. And we might not have seen eye to eye all the time this year, but he's done an absolutely phenomenal job. So, you know, fair play to him. Well done.
And to be fair as well, for ACR Zaxby, considering the massive shift that this team has had to go through mid-season with, of course, Jack Keithley dropping out. The fact that you guys are still in with a shout of the team's title, I guess that gives you some solace and something to shoot for once it comes to next time.
Yeah, definitely. It's obviously been a challenging year for a variety of reasons. Like you say, Jack leaving was a really big blow. But he's got other things to focus on. So, yeah, the fact that we're still in the teams championship hunt is good. Again, it's really unlikely, but I think we've got our eyes set on second place and sort of trying our best to secure that, really.
And I guess I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Kev. Close field this year, closest seen in ITC history. Questions raised over the driving standards once again. What would you like to see happen between this year and next year to try and clean things up a bit?
To be honest, it's one of those things that happens with touring car racing, isn't it? It tends to get a little bit rough, and nobody's saying that's right, but it is quite entertaining. So I don't think we want to see too much clamping down, but equally, I think a bit more consistency with some of the penalties would be good. The disciplinary committee have got a hard job, but equally, there's some people seem to get off a bit lightly. I'm not saying that is the case, but that's a perception with a few people. It's a really difficult one. I think you've got to apply the rules the same across the board. There's either contact allowed or no contact allowed. You can't be sort of leaving it to somebody's discretion, I don't think. I think that's the main thing. And obviously the DC do need some more staff members, which would help. In terms of the driving, it's always going to be the same, I think. I don't think there's going to be much you can do to get away from that. You can dish penalties out, but ultimately, you've got to change the mindset of the driver, and that's a really difficult thing to do.
My advice: buy them some flowers and beer. That'll sway the decision, Chris.
Well,
Take care.
There's some fairly young guys here, so you might not be able to do that.
Maybe so. Anyway, congratulations on your first win. You can take that with pride, and best of luck for 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, thanks very much.
And now we've got a tough decision here. We can interview Adrian Campfield. He was on the podium in race 3, but I feel given what's at stake for next round and given the way things are going, we should probably give an interview to this man, Scott Cervic. By far and away, your best ITC round ever. It might have come a little too late. With IDOS looking, and everyone below IDOS looking pretty much nailed on for relegation now when it comes to the 2018 season. But at least you're going out with a bang, right?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, today was expecting to be as quick as it was, because this is like one of the few tracks where I've actually had experience with driving before, so that obviously helps with the pace. As for the previous rounds, with IDOS unfortunately looking like they're guaranteed to be relegated, it's a shame, especially considering I might have been able to do a bit more on my end to maybe score some points and maybe hold myself away from some incidents in some previous races as well. But I mean, what's happened, and today I think it's been just I've shown what I can do if I have a good car and I feel comfortable with the track and everything.
Well, let's flip the script here. These sorts of results in Division 1, surely that bodes well if you guys are to drop into Division 2 next year.
I mean, I suppose it does, but I wouldn't totally say it's not a given that Div 2 is going to be dead easy if that is what happens. But I mean, yeah, I'd say from my Division 2 experience, it's still quite competitive down there as well, despite the fact that it's a different division that maybe doesn't have all the top drivers that you would have in Division 1.
Well,
and yeah, it's a shame that it's probably going to end with the relegation. But I've come in, I've tried to score some points, and it's just not good enough.
To be fair, Scott, I think Alex doesn't give a damn. You did your team real proud today. Some amazing results, some great battles to see you being a part of as well. It's great to see names like yourself, actually finding a bit of competitiveness and getting up there, and hopefully that sort of form continues on to Virginia in 2 weeks' time. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And with that, I think comes to an end our broadcast. Peter Schulze, good, you are back. I was just double checking.
Oh, I'm back.
An exciting round. I think Curitiba overall can be considered a success. And ultimately, the best thing for the audience, we've got a team's championship going down to the final race.
Yeah, I think we had quite some interesting races, good battles, quite some good fights for the lead until the end, and not only for the lead, but also for the other points positions. And obviously, team championship still open, which is very good. So we still get some racing in the last race, and yeah, quite some fun rounds today.
2 weeks' time. That is all you've got to wait until the finale of the 2018 ITC season, where we head to the North Course of Virginia International Raceway. Should be a belter of a final round there where, I mean, realistically, mathematically, well, realistically, we have maybe 3 teams in with a chance of the title. Mathematically, anybody's game within maybe the top 6 or 7. It is that close. And of course, December comes GPVWC Day. So if you want more information on that, either head along to Facebook or the GPVWC website / Discord to get all of your infos on what is going to be a fun day up at Silverstone Circuit. A big thank you to Mr. Argo Tito once again bringing you pictures. A big thank you to Peter Schulze jumping in there to help me out with this broadcast. It was great having you along, sir. I've been James Kirk, and from all of us here, have a very good night. Take care.